KanKi is one of the most interesting and intriguing characters in Kingdom. He's the absolute genius that became an undefeated general. He is the 5th great of Qin's 6 great generals. He's the beheader KanKi, Qin's prodigy general. How did he become this monstrous genius that we all love to hate? What led him to become the embodiment of darkness? And what motivates him? And in the final segment of this video, I will tell you why he will become Qin's great enemy and Qin's direct foil. This is the story of KanKi. We don't know anything about his childhood from before the age of 13. What we do know is that he became this twisted, brutal person that he is in that time period. I think it's safe to assume that something absolutely terrible and tragic happened to him in his childhood, because people don't just spawn being this twisted. And usually kids become like this after they see something terrible, and the more messed up the thing that kids experience, the more messed up they become. And it has to be directly done by the darkness in humanity. The ruler that we know about his past comes from the leader of the Sake clan, and she says that KanKi was the one who made them what they are now, and that he did it on purpose for a specific reason. So this tells us two main things. First, that his hate and anger towards humanity came from before he was even a bandit. The second thing I take from this is that he's a natural leader and a true genius from the very beginning, because after the incident happened, he left the Sake clan, made his own clan, and then became the leader of all the mountain bandits. After that, he joined Qin's army, in which he became an undefeated general, and he was given the name Qin's prodigy. KanKi said over and over again that he thinks people like Qin and Sei are the worst of the worst. He always talks down to them and says that they're way worse than he is, which leads me to believe that he used to be like this and he got his ideals shattered by humanity, which led him to lose hope in humanity itself. Or he knew someone like Qin and Sei and he used to idealize them until they betrayed him or they've been shattered. Something that stands out to me when he has these conversations with Qin and Sei is that he sounds like he's talking from experience. He talks to them like they're naive and he always tries to win the argument. Even when Sei was arguing with him, he noticed something, that what he's seeing from him is not hopelessness towards humanity, but something else, which is absolute hatred to humankind. I think what happened to him before he came upon the Sake clan led him to having no hope, and all he saw was darkness, but he still had a little bit of light in his eyes. But after the incident that happened that made him leave the Sake clan, that cemented his wrong ideology that he has towards humanity, that led him to reject everything. Unlike Sei, he didn't have someone to drag him out of the darkness. That's evident when he said to Sei that his dream sounds great, but humans will never allow for that to happen. He believes that the core of humanity is darkness. From the earliest that we know of him, he has always been brutal. For God's sake, he even got the epithet KanKi the Beheader, from the fact that when he conquered a village in his bandit days, he would personally behead every single person in that village. That brutality didn't change at all when he joined the Qin military. For him, the scale of how he would take out his hatred and rejection for humanity just became bigger. I think from the reasons he chose to become part of the Qin military is that he loves the feeling of outsmarting whoever he's against. He's addicted to winning. He says the reason he wins so much is that he simply does what people would dislike. I must preface that he wants to win, but it has to be winning in his own way. And to him, there is nothing off limits. He's a sadistic person that enjoys seeing people suffer in any way, be it emotional or physical. He likes to break down people. I think he chose war as a path so he can satisfy his sadism to the max and put out his hate and rejection for humanity on the biggest scales. And I think that's one of the reasons he wants to climb even higher in the Qin military. But there's one thing that seems out of character that needs to be pointed out. He genuinely does care about his inner circle. We saw it multiple times. First, when Naki asked to be transferred to the Heishin unit, KanKi asked, "Can you at least give me a reason?" This shows genuine concern, and it shows how much he respects and values his inner circle. We next see it with Raido and how he took revenge for him by killing all the surrendered soldiers. This is extremely special and noteworthy because for KanKi, he doesn't draw the line between ally or enemy. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, his inner circle is a different situation. He's even willing to give up on winning just for them. This feeling that he has for them goes both ways. He earned the total respect and loyalty of his inner circle, and a lot of them actually look up to him. This slimy guy is a different situation though. With all that being said, it's not a surprise to know that he doesn't have any loyalty to Qin. Actually, he detests how the world is operating, saying, "What the hell is great about kingdoms anyway? If you peel off the outer layer, it's nothing more than a cesspool where a chosen few are allowed to treat the common folk how they want." This shows that he really understands how the world worked. Like, he's not just some random random sadistic bandit. And honestly, what he's saying is pretty based. If you look back at the story, you'll find that he never respected any authority. That's evident from the way he talks to Issei. But there is an exception to that rule, and that person was Mogu. He always respected him, and he even gave him a tribute when he passed, although it was done in pure KanKi fashion. This shows that he held him in a really high regard. He treats people that respect him and appreciate him differently, especially Mogu. I think this came about because he is the only Chin general that accepted him from the very beginning and was humble enough to take him in, even if that meant that his reputation would take a hit. So with all that being said, what is his role in the story? With KanKi's addition to the story, Hara knew exactly what he wanted to do with him. Hara used his character to show a different worldview of society. In the time period where Kingdom takes place, war was inevitable, and we have many characters that show us different worldviews on how to go about dealing with this era. Hara planted these characters to display different ideologies and worldviews on society. KanKi is one of those characters, and his worldview is that the world will always be like this, and there's no point in trying to change it, because he believes that the core of humanity is darkness and hatred. So with this ideology, he goes about doing whatever gives him pleasure and makes him put out his rage that he has in his heart out into the world. Hara used him to display that there has to be a moral way to deal with war. We always see the downsides of his way of war, and it's always shown that his way does have aspects that are beneficial, but Hara always shows us that the downsides outweigh the beneficial ones. He does that by comparing our main characters, the Hishin unit and Issei, to KanKi. From the first time we got to really meet the KanKi army in the Kokoyo Hills arc, they were always compared to the Hishin unit, and they continued to happen throughout the story. And at the end of the Kokoyo Hills arc, we even got one of the KanKi army to switch sides, and this arc solidified Shin and the crew's ideology on how to participate in war but still holding your morals with you, while still having compassion and understanding of the enemy. We only fight who we must fight to bring this damned era to an end. Hara is sending us viewers the message that KanKi's worldview is a different look to have on humanity, and he thinks it's horrible and he fully disagrees with it, just like how he used Ryufui to show us another look to have on humanity. And Hara is using Sei and Shin to display what he believes to be humanity at its core, which is light. KanKi believes it to be darkness and hatred, while Ryufui believes it to be greed. Speaking of Ryufui, it's a well-known fact that he's so far been the absolute best antagonist that we encountered in Kingdom. He was also in the same state, and he was a foil to Issei, who had a completely different idea on how to deal with this war era. So it's not a coincidence that the arc right after the Ryufui conflict was settled, we got the main KanKi arc in which he and Shin start their own ideology battle. The moment Hara got done with an ideology battle, he started another one. The Ryufui conflict that lasted for half the story was settled through a debate, the most political way to settle an ideological battle. This ideological battle was settled with Issei's view coming out on top. And here's my theory part. This will also go for Shin and KanKi. They are both direct foils to each other, and their ideologies are the complete opposite. But unlike Sei and Ryufui, their ideology clash is on the battlefield. So just like how Sei and Ryufui settled their clash in a debate, the most political way to settle a clash, KanKi and Shin will settle their ideology clash on the battlefield in war. This is why I believe KanKi will betray Shin, since he never really had any ties to that state. This could happen in many different ways. It could be him straight up joining a different state, or it could be him doing another monstrous act like the one he did in the EQ battle, which will lead Sei and Shin to have a war with him. Or lastly, him and Osen might team up and betray Shin, which will lead to all the Shin army fighting them. And when any of these situations happen, this will be when this ideology battle between Shin and KanKi will be settled, and it will be on the battlefield. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. I did another analysis of Kingdom's art, and you can watch it right here.